Recently did an ultra event, 12-hour time trial. I made some changes on my ancient Orbea Urdu from 2011. I think the changes gained me about 12 watts. You often hear about things like this that can result in, I don't want to call it free speed, because it did cost me some nominal amount of dollars to make these changes, but appreciable amount of watts gained for no additional training, certainly, and not very many dollars. So I thought I would make a video and just present to you the hard data that encouraged me to go ahead and make these changes before the event. This is data from rollingresistance.com. It's a comparison of the rolling resistance for different tire widths for the Continental Grand Prix 4K tire. They looked at 23 millimeter, 25 millimeter, and 28 millimeter tires. And so what I want you to pay attention to here is the rolling resistance for the 25 millimeter tire, which is the middle column, at 80 psi, 13.7 watts. Here's data again from rollingresistance.com. A couple of things have changed here. Now we're looking at the GP 5K tire. So Continental Tire again, Grand Prix 5K. Although here they have a latex tube in the tire. Same type of comparison. They're looking at 23, 25, 28 millimeter, although they added a 32 millimeter analysis here as well. Good luck getting that tire. Nobody seems to have it in stock. But again, pay attention to 80 psi rolling resistance for the 28 millimeter tire. It's 9.2 watts. So that's a pretty big difference, and this is on a per tire basis. So what we're saying here is if you go from the old GP 4K tire with a standard tube at 80 psi, 25 millimeter width, to the GP 5K 28 millimeter width tire with a latex tube, you go from 13.7 watts per tire to 9.2 watts per tire. That's a big difference. That's 9 watts right there, and that's pretty serious. I mean, you can work for weeks, do weeks of hard work, and not get 9 watts of gain to your FTP. This is some data from Friction Facts where they looked at the watt consumption of different pulleys or pulley configurations. All they're changing here is the bearing in the pulley, or in some cases the lower end group sets, the bushing. So I had a Shimano 105, which you can see from their data consumed about 1.2 watts for a basic 11 tooth bushing pulley system. And this is for the set, not on a pulley wheel basis, but for the total for the set of the pulleys. I just upgraded to 11 tooth full ceramic pulley, so the watts I gained there went from about 1.2 watts for the standard to about 100 milliwatts. So you're gaining about maybe 1.1 watts there. Small but non-trivial. Let's talk about chain lube. This is, again, some data from Friction Facts where they did a fairly comprehensive test of the watts consumed, watts expended in the drivetrain. All of the things held constant except for the chain lube. This is some work they did for Velo News, I believe. Anyhow, it's a lot of products in here. The product I was using at the time was the Bow Shield product, which if you look closely at the data here, you'll see consumed about 0.6 watts. So there's a lot of products on this chart that are better than that, for sure. Later, Friction Facts published this data, which is again a very comprehensive chart of watts consumed in a drivetrain, all of the things held constant except for the chain lube. And you can see on here that on the far left-hand side of the chart, there's some pretty good options there. And so first I started waxing my chain, which is a huge hassle and pretty much unnecessary because the squirt product is reasonably affordable, super easy to apply. You just clean your chain the first time, apply it. Don't have to clean your chain the next time you want to apply it. You just put some more squirt on there. So super handy and super low resistance on this test. So that's about, if you look at this, maybe, I don't know, I'm guessing, but 4.75 watts. So from 6.6 to 4.75 watts. I'll take those savings as well for something that I was doing anyhow, just for the cost of changing from bow shield to squirt. I'll take those watts. Thank you very much. There you go. Let's add it all up. Conti GP 4K tires with standard tubes to Conti GP 5K tires with latex tubes, 9 watts. Bow shield chain lube to squirt chain lube, 2 watts, about 2 watts, 1.85 watts. Full ceramic jockey bearings, 1 watt, a little over 1 watt, maybe 1.1 watts. So that all adds up to about 12 watts, or a shade under 12 watts, 11.95. Let's call it 12. Not bad for no training. One caveat I feel like I must mention, which is perhaps best explained on the Silka website, is the rule of 105. The rule of 105 basically states that the width of a toroidal rim should be 105, 105% the width of the tire that's on it to get maximum aerodynamic benefit from that tire rim combination. And the loss in aerodynamics happens at higher yaw angles. So here's a chart from the Silka blog of aerodynamic drag of a Firecrest 404 rim with different tire widths at different pressures and at different yaw angles. But really what you see here is that if you violate the rule of 105 moderately, not to some extreme extent, but if you do violate it, really what you give up is some aerodynamic benefit at low teens yaw angles. So in other words, if you conform to the rule of 105 at 10% yaw, 12% yaw, you see some aerodynamic benefit that you don't otherwise see if you are moderately violating the rule of 105. If you look at the top curve, it's essentially flat. So if you're competing with other people that aren't violating the rule of 105 and are running Firecrest rims or some other toroidal shaped rim, you stand to be down this decrement of drag. That's it. That's how to save 12 watts. There's probably other marginal gains that I did not do. If you know of any, please put them in the comments. I'll certainly entertain them. I feel like these changes that I made really paid off for me. I did make it on the podium, my first ever ultra event. Had a great time. Hope to do another one in the future. So if you have any tricks of the trade, marginal gains that can stack up and make a difference, let's hear them.